Hi haters, I come to you today bearing bad news. The 2018 movie, A Simple Favor, has a sequel. Yes, 7 years later, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick are back again to serve us nothing in a story that no one asked for. Well, I didn't think anyone asked for this, but according to the director, Paul Feig, who directed the original movie as well as the renowned Bridesmaids film, he saw heaps of comments online praising the original movie and was convinced he needed to continue the story between these two characters. I think it's important to note that this guy said that he would never do a sequel to one of his movies, which I'm sorry, but a sequel for this was not warranted, and we as a society need to learn how to let things go and end franchises. Like, what is the point of ending 007 films just to reboot it? And people started questioning, how is he even gonna continue this story, because at the end of the first movie, the main antagonist is sent to prison. His response? Come on, Marvel brings people back from the dead. We can get somebody out of prison. And I sat here long and hard thinking about what Marvel characters he was thinking of. Is he talking about Bucky? Red Skull? Gamora? I can't think of any other Marvel character that has any kind of like rebirth in the MCU. So I don't know about that statement, dude. And if we're gonna talk about the blip, there is so much story building that goes into even getting to the point to even bringing everyone back with all the Infinity Stones. Like, try making 10 plus movies to give enough context to even get to that point. Okay, sorry, we don't have time for this, and I can't even believe that I'm defending Marvel in this video. So the movie was written, then the writer's strike happened, which gave Paul Feig time to rehash some of the story that he claims to be really good. And here we are in 2025 together again with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. And I don't have anything against Anna Kendrick. I love this cup clapping acapella queen. Plus, she's my favorite student council member at Forks High School. But Blake Lively, on the other hand, has been under a lot of heat, and you might say that she's fueling the fire herself. If you didn't know, since It Ends With Us premiered, she has been in back and forth lawsuits against her co-star, and I believe he was also the director, Justin Baldoni, alleging that he SA'd her, created a hostile work environment, and also ran a smear campaign against her image during this time. Remember when this interview went viral?
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
I'm actually unsure if this is a part of Baldoni's smear campaign or if people were just posting at the time to jump on the bandwagon to get something out of the drama surrounding Blake Lively. But I think what's more telling is how Blake repeatedly acts in interviews such as this. There are multiple interviews and settings where she's with her co-stars where other people look very uncomfortable. So is it really a smear campaign if videos pop up of Blake Lively just acting like herself? There's a lot to unpack with all the lawsuits, and I actually found this really interesting document that I think Justin Baldoni's team released with full screenshots and conversations of the timeline from planning the movie throughout the entire lawsuit allegation back and forth, and it's quite fascinating. I actually would love to do a video about that piece in particular. Let me know if you want it and I'll do it. But it's a huge mess, and this has been ongoing since August of 2024. So with a bad taste in my mouth from watching and doing a video on It Ends With Us and vaguely keeping up with the lawsuits, I went into this movie with very low expectations. To summarize the first movie, if you haven't seen it, or maybe it's just been a while since you watched it, we follow Stephanie Smothers, played by Anna Kendrick, who is a vlogger and single mom who befriends the mysterious and very wealthy Emily Nelson, played by Blake Lively, after their kids form a connection at school. Friendship. Connection? I've been watching way too much Love Island. One day, Emily asks for the simple favor of picking up her kid, and then she goes missing, basically staging her death so that she can get insurance money. Meanwhile, Stephanie, who is a single mother because her husband found out that she was sleeping with her brother and killed the both of them in a tragic car accident, forms a relationship with Emily's husband, Sean Townsend, played by Henry Golding. After they sleep together, we find out that Emily is still alive because she has a twin, and the body that the police found in the lake is actually her meth-addicted twin sister who Emily drowned. So Emily gets caught because Stephanie was live streaming the confession. Like I said, she's a vlogger, and Emily gets sent to prison. The first movie is fun, suspenseful, mysterious, fucked up. It's good, but it's honestly a pretty forgettable watch. I watched it a couple years ago after my friend's recommendation, and I had to look up that entire synopsis just for this video. The sequel falls very deep into sequelitis. I skimmed through the first film while writing up this script, and I noticed so many of the scenes and lines were basically one-to-one. And it misses the mark of the first movie by forcing the characters to be a sliver of who they were before. It's disappointing and quite annoying. So let's get into it. Another Simple Favor starts off with Stephanie struggling with her relationship with her now tween kid, sending him off to a summer camp. She took a break from posting online, relatable, and is now an author debuting her novel The Faceless Blonde, based off of the events of the first movie, which in itself is based off of a novel. Incredibly unique plot idea. So at her book reading, Emily waltzes in like Sirius Black coming out of Azkaban to ask Stephanie if she will be her maid of honor at her wedding in Capri. And she's not asking nicely. No. She is threatening her with a lawsuit of using her likeness and image in her book. Even in character, Blake Lively can't escape these lawsuits. So, of course, Stephanie agrees, otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. But she thinks that Emily wants something else out of her other than just being her maid of honor, so the mystery begins. At their private jet to fly to Capri, Emily looks like an awfully gorgeous princess. And when Stephanie comments how nice the jet looks, she responds,
Your tits are nice.
We are then not really introduced to a group of eccentric people, which she claims to be her fiance's family's friends. Fiance's family's friends? Jesus Christ. Which to me made me get like the murder mystery vibes, right? Kind of like that Jennifer Aniston movie, but it's not really like that at all. And actually, none of these people matter for the rest of the movie. While exchanging the most obnoxious jabs at each other.
Aw, are you having fun? I mean, this is why you brought me, right? Keep them coming.
Emily opens up about her new beau, Dante Versano, played by none other than the one true modern day bad movie love interest king, Michele Morrone. This is the first notable instance of something comparable to the first movie, where in a flashback scene, Emily says to Dante,
Bathroom 20 seconds, not twice.
In the first movie, when she comes back and reveals to Sean that she's alive, she tells him the same thing. I guess some people just never change. Oh yeah, and also Dante is the one that bailed her out of jail. If Marvel movies can bring people back from the dead, then a new love interest can certainly bail the main character out of jail. In Capri, the wedding party gathers together, and I guess because she has a kid, her ex-husband Sean is also there. Turns out he has a court order to be at the wedding. Not suspicious at all. He's also drunk for the entire movie, so there's that. Stephanie goes live for her followers to just let them know that she's still alive in Capri, and she immediately gets shut down by security because they point guns in her face. And this guy, Matteo, comes over to make sure that pictures aren't being taken. I don't know. I feel like this was never really cleared up, but this is the third time she's been yelled at for being on her phone. At this pre-wedding lunch gathering thing, Dante's mom gives Emily a gift, her mom and her aunt. And I didn't even remember that her mom was in the original movie until I skimmed through it again. But in this movie, she is completely off her rocker.
Oh.
demons spawn.
And I think this is the best performance in the movie. This lady is so delusional with her creepy ass sayings that she's actually adding a thrilling aspect to the movie. Sean then has a drunken outburst of how much he hates his life and how he's gonna fight for full custody of their kid, and Dante kicks him out of the lunch because everyone gets riled up. Emily walks away to this private ledge and Stephanie goes to try to comfort her. We have like a weird threatening scene where Emily toys with the idea of pushing Stephanie off this ledge, particularly if she doesn't come to her bachelorette party that night. Back in his hotel room, Sean is drunkenly masturbating in the shower when someone comes into his room, pricks his finger with a little needle, causing him to immediately bleed out and die. Stephanie shows up at the hotel pool where they're having the bachelorette party with just the two of them to have their signature martinis, and they start talking about Stephanie's part-time detective work, and we see that she actually feels kind of guilty for possibly wrongfully accusing some of the people in the cases that she's been involved with, particularly this gym coach at the high school or middle school, or I don't know, I thought it was her kid's school, but nothing is really clear in this movie. She keeps getting flashbacks of this guy begging her that he didn't do anything and that she ruined his life with these allegations of him filming students in the locker room. And it shows him pull a gun out of his desk in his office at the school and shoot himself in the fucking head. Why are we adding this side plot of having sympathy for this fucking guy? Why does he have a gun at school? Innocent people don't shoot themselves in the head. Why do we need a side story having compassion for a fucking pedophile? Whatever. After the bachelorette party, Stephanie sees Nikki trying to get into his dad's room, so they call the hotel staff to get let in, where she finds Sean's dead body. Outside, the detective working with the police says that this was some kind of tragic accident, which clicks her little investigation gears into motion. And so she starts Googling what kind of drugs make you bleed out from your eyes, nose, and mouth. The next morning, the day of the wedding, Stephanie goes into town and notices this woman who she believes to have been following her since her book reading, who turns out to be an FBI agent, Irene Walker. She shows Stephanie a picture of Emily's aunt Linda, who was in the same town as her during the book reading, seemingly dress shopping with who she believes to be Emily, identified by her tattoo. Stephanie then calls her cop friend back in the States to ask to run a background check on Aunt Linda. And when she goes to Emily's room to help her prep for the wedding, Aunt Linda is coming out and doesn't let her into the room. Emily and Dante then get married on the pier, and I personally hate this wedding look. She's wearing like a weird pleather pantsuit with a skirt on top of it. I am not here for it. Sorry, but they seem super happy, and at his reception, Dante burns his prenup to spite his mother, which gets a couple people questioning, is this guy gonna die? He does. While watching the crowd with her detective eyes, Stephanie sees Emily talking to her aunt, Matteo talking to a group of guards, and Dante also talking to another group of guards, but then he leaves the scene. And so she follows him into this little like courtyard area where he is then telling someone to put their gun down, put their gun down. He gets shot, then he gets shot again, and then he falls back into this little outhouse that has all the fireworks in it, and all the fireworks go off, so he's a goner. And then they pin his death on Stephanie, so now she's under house arrest in her hotel room in Capri. The next morning, Aunt Linda and the police detective from before come into her room to collect her cell phone and passport so she can't contact anyone or leave. Then Emily shows up looking like a Bene Gesserit disciple to blame her for Sean and Dante's death, and then claims that Stephanie told her that she loved her once, and then she starts kissing her. Stephanie then realizes that Emily is acting a lot weirder than normal, probably because she's not calling her a brother fucker every 5 minutes, and it pieces it together that this isn't exactly Emily, but it couldn't be Faith because she died in the first movie. And while she's thinking out loud, Emily pulls out a knife and puts it in Stephanie's hand and then does like the grabs the blade thing, so she cuts her own hand and then screams like bloody murder. And so they think that she had also stabbed her, I guess, and then they just leave her in the room, which like doesn't make sense to me. But it's super convenient for this FBI agent to then work with the hotel staff to get a cleaning lady in the room to sneak her out. Okay. And after she escapes her room, she sneaks into Emily's mom's room. And like I said, this lady is undergoing some kind of psychosis or something. But Stephanie gets her mom to open up about this third child that was allegedly stillborn. And yes, this was mentioned in the first movie very briefly. That is why I was skimming through it, because if it wasn't, I would have been pissed. So I do applaud this movie for having that kind of continuity in the story. What I hate about this is that it's essentially the same plot as the original movie. Wow. There's another person that looks like Blake Lively. Wow. There's another switcheroo that happened. This movie feels like if The Prestige had a sequel and Christian Bale had another brother. It's really not fun, and it gets so fucking weird. Right after this, Emily's mom gets suffocated by Linda because she told the information, which I think is a little too far. Like, why kill another person in this murder mystery story? Like, this lady is batshit crazy. Who's gonna believe her if she's saying XYZ? And also, by understanding that she gave Stephanie this information, Linda understands that Stephanie was in the room and has already escaped with this information. So like, why is she wasting her time killing a different person? Get your priorities straight, Linda. Finally out of the hotel, Stephanie goes to meet up with the FBI agent and get to a safe house, but someone walks up behind the FBI agent, stabs her in the back, and for some reason, Stephanie holds onto the knife and it comes out of the body as it falls forward, and she's left holding the knife, and she gets taken to prison yet again. Okay, not prison, but Dante's mom is now holding her captive in some underground, scary looking place, and she gives her truth serum to find out what happened with Dante. And to me, this scene felt very similar to the first movie where Anna Kendrick gets drunk off of the martini and confesses that she fucked her brother. Trust me, I loved Anna Kendrick's portrayal of being high in this movie, but like, it's all the same shit, just regurgitated in a different way. It's not fun. But she spills the beans about Charity still being alive, and when Dante's mom is finished with her and tells the guards to kill her, the real Emily is there to save the day and get her out. How did she know where to go to find her? No idea. But I think it's time to stop asking questions. And now that Dante is dead, Emily confesses that the real reason they got married is so that she could be a beard for his relationship with the guy that he's been yelling at this entire movie, Matteo. And I absolutely love Michele for continuously kissing men in movies. Keep it up, King. We love it. Also, this mystery would have been solved in 3 seconds if Stephanie would have just taken her gay best friend instead of her publicist. Like, if anyone in this movie had a gaydar, they could have seen that shit as soon as the plane landed and Dante was sitting on the car with his ass cheeks spread. Emily goes on to confess that Charity left her alive because she likes her too much. Like, likes her. To differentiate between these two Blake Lively characters, we get Charity, who is dressed in like coquette-core clothes, acting like a little baby, and now the seemingly normal amount of fucked up Emily character dressed in a wrinkly ass t-shirt. Charity then drugs Emily and SAs her, and just like the first movie, we're getting an incestuous scene. Why do we need this? So we get just a really weird scene of Blake Lively kissing herself. I don't know, man. I feel like it's maybe something she's always wanted to do. And now apparently Charity has kidnapped Nikki, so Emily and Stephanie race to the ledge. Do you remember that ledge? Here they find Aunt Linda pointing a gun at Nikki, confessing to them her new plan to kill Stephanie to give her head back to the Italian mob to prove that Emily, who is actually Charity, since she's the one legally married to Dante, is fit to take the place of him at the top of the business gang so that she can give money to Aunt Linda. Okay, perfect plan, Linda. But when Charity realizes that Hope/Emily also has to die, she refuses to let that happen because she really likes her sister. She points Linda's gun at her own face, which allows Stephanie and Emily to grab Nikki from the grasp. And then Linda threatens to kill all three of them, which doesn't even make an ounce of sense. But before she can do anything, Nikki is piloting his drone and whacks her in the face.
Stealth mode, bitch!
Which causes her to drop the gun, which Charity picks up and immediately shoots her and pushes her off the ledge. To calm her sister down, Emily starts kissing Charity in front of her son, and Stephanie has the opportunity to take the gun away from the both of them, and Emily convinces Charity to take the blame for all of these murders under the name of Emily so that they can somehow be together forever. So Emily goes back to jail, just like the end of the first movie. Back home, Stephanie gets a phone call from the real Emily asking her the same goddamn simple favor from the first movie to watch over her kid for the foreseeable future. And then we get a scene of Emily meeting her mother-in-law at the fountain where dreams are made of. And she's digging through her purse to pull out a note with gun clicking sounds as she's doing so.
I have a single favor.
Which unfortunately is setting us up for a third movie in the series. Maybe it'll be called The Simplest of Favors, or another simple favor, The Third Favor. I don't know. What creative titles do you have? And honestly, when I first watched this movie, I was like, damn, this really sucks. It's just like the first one. But you know me. I love a bad movie. And when I went to watch it again to just skim back through things, it actually does flow pretty well. And when you know the twist and you go back and watch it, you're like, oh shit. So altogether, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but I do think it was very unnecessary. But let me know what you think. Did you watch this movie? Are you excited for a third movie in this series? Let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.